How is everyone? For our next assignment in How is everyone? Now that Honors Art and Design has completed their art history study, not so fast. We're not done yet. We're going to take some of our preliminary drawings and sketches and apply that study to new works. Here we're going to pair our imaginations with classical composition and design and the tradition of portraiture. How can we study animals and take naturalistic anatomy and texture, bone structure, muscle mass, all of that, and plug it into some of the works that we have just studied? I hope that made sense. I feel like that wasn't my best explanation, but we'll get there. It's a new assignment. All right, thumbnails. Ordinarily, I do thumbnails with a graphite pencil, but this time to force myself to think about how lighting is going to work, I'm going to use Vine charcoal. Dog with a pearl earring. We are making a commentary on pieces of art history that we've just seen. Just getting this out of my system and everyone else's system. There's a dog wearing a pearl earring turning over its shoulder. This is not really what we're doing. This is kind of cheap, it's childlike. There's nothing wrong with childlike, but we're not going for cheap here. So what I actually want to do is do a dignified, realistic portrait and portrayal of an animal, considering skeleton, muscle, fur, all of that texture, but plugging it into a composition or an art history piece. So for example, I'm going to think about Bernini's David here. And in that case, we saw a figure winding up, a lot of torque, and ready to spring into action. It's a sculpture, but we're thinking of this as charcoal. So I'm thinking of a dog that is flying through the air, and maybe he's got a Frisbee in his mouth. If he doesn't have a Frisbee in his mouth and he just has like fangs, or maybe more appropriate to Bernini's David, maybe his mouth is pulled in so we don't actually see that expression yet. But I'm taking into account my own, taking into account my own emotional response to a dog in this case. And historically, I have a fear of dogs. So this ferocity, this building up of momentum, it's coming to get you, that would very much be part of my thought process. That being said, you don't have to use a dog. Just because dog is in the title, that's just the title. You might start to consider a wide array of animals. I like ducks. Let's look back at what we've even studied. There is a packet somewhere that has all of the slides. King Menkor and his queen. She is bringing him off to be presented. They're one. Penguins mate for life. They're loyal to one another, and there's something sweet and incredible about that. We could have two penguins here. I mean, compositionally or drawing-wise, this might not end up being the most exciting thing in the world, but you also don't have to view it from straight on, because the sculpture is intended to be viewed in the round, so you could view them from different angles. There is a profile image that shows them to the side. You could explore that. What else do we do? The swing. What could we do with the swing? I'm making this all up as we go along too, so the spontaneity in terms of how I'm thinking is genuine. Animals. What's an animal? I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go with the duck on that. She's kicking her leg forward. She's got both of her arms up. I mean, I might have a playful scene of a duck splashing in the water. So in terms of how this works, I've got the wings up, I've got the head up, and the legs outward. The water underneath would be splashing. as far as how do you go from the thumbnail process of just generating your ideas, this is just your imagination. I'm not looking at any references right now. I'm just using my imagination. You would need to find the following resources: skeleton of your animal, several photos, different angles, different poses. Oh, obviously your art history piece that you're going to be taking inspiration from. And then anything else. I just said several there, it's vague, but like if I need a picture of the underside of the duck's foot, I need a picture of the underside of the duck's foot. If I need the duck's head moving in that direction, I need a photo or several photos that would help me understand that. You're not copying photos here, you're studying them, and you're plugging your knowledge of the animal form into these images. In this case, I would need to get photo reference of a splash in the water. You notice I said get photo reference and not find? That's a case of you can photograph a splash of water yourself. You don't have to rely on the internet for that. So whenever possible, don't. If you have a dog, you're photographing your dog. Don't go off of a photo from the internet. If you have a duck, photograph your duck. If you have a penguin, I can't believe it. So whenever possible, take your own primary sources, your own photo references, and when that is not possible, then you end up compositing resources and research from the internet. And in those cases, you cite those sources. So here's where we start off, generating thumbnails of animals that are positioned, taking cues from art history, but they're not goofy, silly, dress an animal up in clothing and put them on a swing, that sort of thing. They're supposed to be naturalistic and studies of animal anatomy. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in person, or you can email me, and you can always refer back to this video as necessary. All right, see you tomorrow.